October community workshop, which is process groups and residential substance use treatment. We will have Kim Ferns and Laurel Walker from Meridian Health Services presenting today. We are excited to have them here. But before we do get started, a couple housekeeping items. So make sure you are muted throughout the workshop today to make sure there isn't any background noise or interruptions. Questions we're asking to be held until the very end. So if you think of them, um, throughout the workshop, you can place them in the chat if you don't want to forget them or write them down. Um, then we will get to those at the end, but there is an interactive case study or two that will be done at the end of the presentation. So at that time, you're welcome to come off mute. To engage with the case study that we will be doing at the end of the presentation today. But until then, we ask you to remain muted. If you would like to have your camera on, you're free to do so, but are not required. We understand that sometimes it does interrupt bandwidth and the ability to see the presentation and things along those lines. If you are on the uh, web browser or phone feature, no worries there. If you can't get to the chat, we will send the evaluation and any related links and handouts to your email at this evening when the presentation is done. I will send out that link and eval. To make sure that if you don't see it in the chat at the end, you still have it. The evaluation will be open once I do send it, and then it will be open until noon tomorrow. So if you can't get to your email because it's your work email or something like that, no worries. You have until noon tomorrow to complete that evaluation for 1.5 McBAP related CEUs that are being offered tonight. Again, please make sure you are here for the full time to receive that credit and complete the eval to receive that credit. Now, I understand at times we get kicked out. Just log back in and I will let you in and it won't interrupt you being here the full time. We just need you to log back on. We will, at the very end of the presentation, hope that you stay for another minute or two longer during that evaluation, as we will be announcing the fiscal year 26 SUD calendar, our workshop calendar. So we're excited to announce those for those who start next month in November. So we'll bring that announcement to you at the end. So with that being said, though, I think those are all the announcements that we normally cover. Again, place all your comments and questions in the chat. If you haven't done so, place your name and organization, if you can, in the chat for attendance. And I'm going to turn it over to Kim and Laura, who are both counselors at Meridian Health Services, and we're happy to have them partner with us today. And I will turn it over to you ladies. Welcome and thank you for presenting today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Welcome. We're happy to be here this evening. We're excited to talk about process groups within a residential substance use treatment facility. And hopefully, once this workshop is complete, we hope that you've gained a better understanding of what a process group is and how they differ from other groups within a substance use treatment. Also, how a group develops and the stages of what it goes through, any learned therapeutic factors of group work, and then we'll have some examples on how you can use yourself within a residential group setting. So first, a group process focuses on the members' interactions in the present moment. So it's nice that we can see things in real time and discussion, and then be able to provide feedback and then build insight, improve the relationships, and then support recovery, and make sure that it's a supportive group environment as well, and be able to know what a supportive recovery community and environment looks like. Process groups encourage the clients to share openly and respond to one another in the present moment. This also allows the dynamic to build cohesion, and it deepens the self-awareness. We see a lot of self-reflection and things being brought up, like we said, in real time, to where you can see the aha moments and allow the groups to be supportive of one another, especially when they're becoming more vulnerable or if it's their first time in treatment. So this also will foster healthier patterns of communication that's really essential for recovery in a residential treatment. This provides a chance for clients to be confronted with the accountability and have corrective emotional experiences. So this also allows the clients the chance to model the facilitator's healthy boundaries. So as the facilitator, we make sure that we are pretty much that example, and be able to have boundaries within the group and then, model that for all group members. Let's see. So we also make sure that this gives the groups a chance to build connection with the other group members and provide support to one another. Other types of groups offered within the substance use residential treatment would include the psychoeducational groups that we have and other support groups. The psychoeducational groups will be groups provided with educational information. We typically call those lectures, and this is provided to clients with a less forum for them to share and express their thoughts. So you might not get to the deep underlining issues in these groups, but it's still supportive nonetheless. And then it can also be peer-led. Moving to slide 4. Here. Okay, so Irvin D. Yalom is a prominent American psychiatrist and psychotherapist. And in 1970, he produced the theory and practice of group psychotherapy, speaking about the research literature around group psychotherapy and the social psychology of small group behavior. So this work explores how the individuals function in a group context and how each member of the group therapy gain their participation. So he was able to identify some therapeutic factors.
Next slide, please.
We have universality, which is realizing that the others share similar thoughts, feelings, and experiences, which will reduce isolation and shame. So they recognize that, we're not alone. I'm not alone in this situation. I'm not alone in my experiences, and try and really let go of some of that guilt. Um, and then they also are able to recognize their struggles and see that this is we can share experiences and allow support in that moment when they're opening up. We also have the installation of hope. So group members see others progressing and recovering, which fosters some optimism. So it's nice when you have group members that are brand new for the first time or are just starting their treatment, and then you have other group members that are starting to complete their treatment, and they will present presentations and talk about how treatment has been for them and their experience. So it shows that, okay, we can do this. I may be a little bit overwhelmed with my first time here, but I see that this, there is progress, and if I can start to open up, I may be able to recover as well. This hope can be a crucial first step in motivating individuals to engage fully in the therapeutic process. We also have imparting information. So members gain helpful knowledge from the therapist and each other. This may include the psychological concepts, coping strategies, or practice advice relevant to their issues. So we'll be able to share experiences and then figure out, okay, how can we cope with this in healthier ways? We were coping with this, by self-medicating, but now let's try and figure out how we can do this that we can, in order to maintain long-term recovery. We have altruism, which is helping others in the group gives members a sense of value and self-worth. This is crucial. A lot of members. I got my members and clients mixed up. A lot of the clients will come in, and self-esteem is a huge part. Um, Focusing on their mistakes, once again, that guilt and shame, but being able to recognize we need to build that self-worth and their value in their self is really important for their recovery and for their treatment experience too. So this reinforces the idea that they have something to contribute even when struggling themselves. We have corrective emotional experiences. Group therapy often reflects the dynamics from members from families of origin. So, through interactions in the group, members can rework maladaptive relational patterns in a healthier, corrective environment. So, learning how to, learning more about their family, learning more about their home environment. Sometimes they might think that things that they went through in the home was okay, and they learn that maybe that might not have been the most healthiest place for me to be. Maybe I might not want to go home after treatment. Maybe I want to try a sober living, learning just about toxic environments or people that maybe enable instead of empower them. We also have development of socializing techniques. So the group provides a safe space to practice and refine social skills. Members receive feedback and support in helping them improve communication, empathy, and conflict resolution. We see that a lot. We definitely want to provide empathy, and sometimes we have conflict in real time, but we understand that conflict is a part of life. We just want to be able to communicate effectively. So I did some groups on effective communication, which was good when we need to talk about tone and body language and all of those things. We have imitative behavior. Members may model positive behaviors observed in the therapist. I'm sorry, in the therapist or others in the group, which can facilitate change in their own actions and attitudes. So, of course, just being respectful, listening, actively listening, and allowing them to feel heard. And at the same time, sometimes I think we know people that will try and get a reaction. And sometimes we have to let them know that that's just not appropriate, and we can do so respectfully. We can also listen and agree to disagree respectfully. So I think we learn a lot about that within a group setting. Interpersonal learning, group therapy offers um, social relationships through direct interaction, feedback, and reflection. So the members are able to gain into how their behavior affects others and vice versa. We have cohesion and belonging. A sense of belonging and acceptance within the group is a healing in itself. It's so nice to see group members that come in and are very uncomfortable in these types of settings. And throughout their treatment experience, you can see that they feel safe. They feel like they have group members that are understanding with each other. And I love, like, right now, I'm group one. And they love this, we're group one, woo, woo, woo. So it's kind of fun to see how they work together and support each other, not only within the group, but then outside the group on the unit as well. Um, so feeling connected reduces the feelings of isolation and fosters trust, which enables deeper emotional work. Um, well, sometimes I may have someone that's new to the group, and I just meet them through an intake, but they haven't actually been in a group within our process group yet, but I'll go find another group member and introduce them to each other. And then by the time we get to group the next day, they already feel a little bit of connected. And then we do some little check-ins, but also introductions. All right, so then we have catharsis, which is expressing deep, deeply held emotions can be liberating and healing for all. So sharing and witnessing emotional experiences in a safe environment can facilitate psychological relief and insight. So being able to openly express your emotions, sometimes very painful emotions, and being able to talk about challenges and being able to be vulnerable in a safe place has been really, really productive for all group members. And then we have existential factors. So group therapy helps the individuals confront the fundamental issues of existence. So such as mortality, freedom, isolation, and meaning. So through the group, the members explore these themes and work towards personal responsibility and finding their authentic self. So it's important that they feel liberated once again and they have the freedom to be themselves, but also, express themselves in a very respectful place and know that it's okay to be you. Especially in treatment, we all come from different backgrounds. There's different backgrounds, different lifestyles, different experiences, different cultures. So being able to come together as a group and still try and put down some of those masks has been really important for the group altogether. All right, we can go to the next slide. So we have the 5 stages of group development. And this was identified by psychologist Bruce Tuckman in 1965. The first one we have is forming, which this is the initial stage when group members come together and begin to get to know one another. This is key. We really want to make sure that as we're getting one another, that we're being honest, and we once again, I'm going to keep saying that safe space is really important. So key characteristics: uncertainty and anxiety about the roles, the goals, and the leadership. It's kind of like, who are you? What are we doing here? I don't know you. I saw you walking around and, passing judgment, but being able to kind of let go of some of that, even expectations that could be arising. Being able to have polite behavior, which dominates as members avoid the conflict, and then leaders often emerge or are assigned.
And then just really quickly, like within substance use treatment, like residential, because people are leaving and coming almost daily and you're having new group members, these stages are a little more flexible, but they're still happening throughout. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Awesome. So the goal for this is just to build relationships and establish that trust right from the beginning. Then we have storming. Overview is members will start to assert themselves and conflicts may arise. We do see this. It happens, especially if there's things that have took place on the unit. They want to bring that into group. If we may have conflict and we need to resolve it in the group. So difference in opinions, working styles, and personalities become apparent really, really easily. Struggles over leadership, structure, and authority. We always have a group member that wants to lead and take over. And I learned very early on that it's important to be able to kind of redirect and not allow one group member to take over the entire group. So being able to, as a facilitator, redirect when it's appropriate and allow other group members to feel heard has been really key. We also could experience tension and confrontation may occur. We welcome it. Sometimes we need that confrontation, but it's nice to see the tension decrease over time. We always try, at least with my groups, try to leave on a positive note, especially if we had a really intense topic or really intense issues. So the goal is to address conflicts and power struggles to grow as a team. Norming, this group begins to resolve conflicts and establish a sense of unity. Want to make sure we have that agreement on rules, values, and group norms. If I see that there's been some new group members added, I like to always say, what are our group rules? And then we go over them. Group members that have been there for a while know the group rules. And then sometimes we even create group rules as a group together, which is nice. Do they feel like they are a part of the group and everyone has agreement on those rules, values, and norms? These roles and responsibilities become very clear. We know, you know, I like to always say, like, what's said in here stays in here. We sometimes we do the hand raising. Not really a big fan, but if we need to, we will. If we have a lot of big, talkative people, but otherwise, just being able to listen and limit all the cross talking is huge. Increased cooperation and commitment. After over time, I think we see group members where maybe they're a little bit uncomfortable or shy at first, but over time I can see group members will say, hi, so and so, are you doing okay today? How are you feeling? What's going on? And that has allowed them to open up, be more vulnerable, and recognize that they are supported, and others can see when you're struggling and be able to lean in on each other. So the whole point for this one is just strengthen that cohesion and focus on all the shared objectives. Next, we have performing. So the group functions efficiently towards achieving its goals. So we want to focus on our treatment goals and do that in a therapeutic way. So we want to make sure that there's high productivity and independence. So maybe we are, if it's an open talk, we make sure that we get through certain things. We might have some group activities, but we want to make sure we get through the full time. I never try and leave early, and make sure that we have things that we're going to work through. So if we're talking about, let's say, forgiveness, for example, there's different areas of forgiveness we need to address. And if we don't really finish the full topic or feel like we've addressed all of the areas of forgiveness, I might move it to the next day and do like a part two. But that way, we're still being very productive. If we may get off track, but we still finish all of our topics and make sure that everyone feels heard and we've established some goals. We want to have strong communication, collaborate, and problem solve. Members are motivated and knowledgeable. And then this will deliver results and achieve objectives effectively. So this has been really important as well. We have adjourning, which is also known as mourning. So this is the final stage, which occurs when the group completes its task and disband. So this is really nice when you see group members are able to identify how they can apply this to their long-term recovery, how they can apply this to their home environment, sober living, and really be prepared to reach that, that lower level of care. We want to work on making sure there's reflection on the accomplishments and experiences. So, um, towards the end of someone's treatment experience, we might say, how was it in the beginning of treatment for you? What was going on? How was the middle? How was the end? What are some things that you can take away? What did you learn from this experience? How are you going to apply it? Um, what were your triggers and how do you handle them? Who's your support system and so on. There may be mixed emotions, pride and success. Yes, we may have group members that have felt like they accomplished more than they did, or just mixed emotions about leaving treatment. Being able to create this safe space, and now there's fears about going out to the community and can I really apply this outside of this structured environment. So there may be some sadness over separation. I have oftentimes group members are sad to leave the group or to, someone that they came in with, maybe leaving before them or after them. And, being able to have, it is a little bittersweet when you see them just, become the butterfly, fly away. You've learned everything, but it's good. It's good. We recognize that in this type of setting that you're here for a short time. We want to make sure that we stay engaged, productive, work on our treatment goals, but at some point, the whole point is to leave to a lower level of care. So planning for future work or transitions is really important. So what are the plans after this? How are you going to continue to remain focused on your long-term recovery? How are you going to stay focused in the recovery community? Are you going to attend meetings? Maybe you want to make sure you have some healthy supports because for the first time, we'll talk about who are your supports, and they may even look around the room and say, well, it's you, it's so and so and so and so, but what are we going to do when you go home? And then the goal for this is to provide closure and celebrate their achievements. So being able to celebrate different goals that they've accomplished. So recognizing, okay, now I've established some healthy boundaries. I didn't have boundaries before. I gave out all my cigarettes in the first week, and I learned really quick what I need to do for that. But different types of topics have really, you can see in real time the progress.
And it's really neat with this stage too, because, or in general, all of these stages, because somebody that may be leaving the group, they've completed treatment, they're presenting their relapse prevention plan. There may be somebody that's brand new to the group. So even though the stages, somebody may be, like in the adjourning stage, like somebody may be at the forming stage. So with residential treatment, it's a little different, but just being able to see it like work out and being able to see, the group reform as new members come in, and just offer, like, you really see the 11 therapeutic factors like
Absolutely.
play out, and it's really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we could go to the next one. All right, so this is our role, the group facilitator. We want to make sure that usually this will be the therapist or the counselor. At Meridian, we have different roles depending on what type of group it is. But for a process group, it is primarily the therapist or the counselor. And this is a critical role in group therapy. So we're able to guide the group process, make sure, once again, it's a safe, productive environment. And just to get into these roles, so The importance of the group facilitator in group therapy. We want to make sure, once again, safe and supportive environment. We establish those ground rules once again, so we have that confidentiality is set. Um, Once again, what's said in here stays in here. Respect of everyone. Sometimes someone may be sharing, and then someone might ask some questions, and then we respect their boundaries if they no longer want to continue diving deep into that. So it goes both ways, being able to open up and be open and share, but then also if that's enough at that moment and they want to keep some things to themselves at that time, that's okay too. We won't keep pushing. So this will create trust. We will foster trust. We want to monitor the group dynamics to ensure that the emotional and psychological safety is there. That's key. Encourage the openness while maintaining the boundaries and limits. Guides the group process and development. This helps the group move through Tuckman stages of development. So that's the forming, the storming, norming, performing, and adjourning stages. This intervenes when necessary. So we may need to intervene to manage any conflict. It does happen. There may be some resistance or dysfunctional behavior. So I mean, there's times when you may have to excuse someone from the group if it's not being productive, or sometimes maybe we can manage the conflict and just try and allow both parties to feel heard and then get to common, safe, productive, respectful
Outcome.
outcome. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
So being able to have that is key. And then we want to make sure that we remain focused. So sometimes there's issues where we have to address in the group, but then be able to kind of get back on task and not allow that to take over the entire group. We want to encourage the participation and engagement. So this draws out, the quieter members and moderates dominant voices. So we talked about that earlier. Being able to pull for those that are not as open. Sometimes they may be listening, but not really participating verbally. So being able to open that up, open the floor up. Sometimes I like to just go around and make sure I hit everyone so that way everyone has a chance to participate. We want to promote balanced participation, making sure that everyone feels heard and valued. We want to use techniques such as open ended questions, reflective listening, and validation to really deepen their engagement. We also promote insight and growth. So this helps members make connections between their thoughts, their feelings, and behaviors, facilitates therapeutic feedback from peers in a constructive way. So using our clinical knowledge to really interpret the group patterns and guide the individuals towards their overall growth. We also manage the group dynamics. So observing and addressing the underlying issues, such as transference, group alliances, or any type of subgrouping. Identifying when the group is stuck or regressing, and then using strategies to re-engage their progress. We want to ensure the group remains cohesive while also respecting their individual needs. So just I think once you know the group and you are aware of what their individual needs are and how it can be productive for the group, maybe we're talking about uh, a change in your social environment, we can get on a topic and we can maybe pinpoint someone that is struggling with that and allow them to kind of be reflective and then get feedback from the group as well. Okay. So we also have models of healthy behavior. So we're demonstrating empathy, respect, we're being authentic and appropriate, self-disclosure. Self-disclosure is huge. Just want to make sure that we maintain that therapeutic approach. So obviously, whatever you feel comfortable with sharing, but we have to make sure that we have healthy boundaries as a facilitator as well. Sometimes I had someone that taught me early on that, if they're too focused on you, then that's kind of distracting from their recovery. So being able to put it back on you. Why are you so interested in me? Um, so being able to make sure that they recognize what are their needs and not too focused on the group facilitator. We want to act as a role model for communication, conflict resolution, and emotional expression. That's key, especially if you know, have big facial expressions, right? Being able to, model what is it that we need to do within our relationships and ongoing recovery. Evaluates progress and outcomes. So we're going to monitor both individual and group progress towards their therapeutic goals. We'll provide the structure and make sure that we do that from session to session. Prepare members for the termination of the group, which helps them reflect on the growth and plans for the continued development. So once again, when a group member comes in, we would do a nice intro, welcome them in, tell us about yourself. If they are a little bit shy, we may ask questions, where are you from, just to get to know them a little bit more, what brings you into treatment. And then throughout the group, we'll be able to continue working on those underlying issues. And then, like Kim said, have that relapse prevention plan and presentation at the end of group. I think that was
Okay, want me to take over for a bit?
sure.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to just talk about some interventions and techniques that you can use throughout group process. So you're really going to do, like, you can start a group with check-ins. It just grounds the group. It helps promote emotional awareness, which isn't always like something that the clients are very good with when they first come to treatment. So basically at the start or the end of a session, members can briefly share their current mood, experiences, or goals for the session. This will help build connection, sets a therapeutic tone, and helps the facilitator identify who may need more support that day. So, if there's like, this is a group process, you're not coming in with like a topic, like you're really going in. You're going to see where are the needs in the facility, what's going on, what do they need, the clients need to talk about that day. So the check-ins really help the facilitator figure out what that is. Open-ended questions. So really encouraging deeper reflection and avoid yes or no responses. So this could look like, what was that like for you? How did that affect you emotionally? Again, this facilitates the sharing, insight, and exploration of thoughts better than just like, oh, did you like that? No. Okay. Move on. Like, so this just helps the conversation keep flowing and gives them time to think and respond with a more reflective answer. So here and now processing. So Laurel has talked about this numerous times today, but like that's the cool thing about process group. Like it's right there in the moment. You get to see what's going on. It's not a story somebody's telling. You're really seeing the reactions, the conflict. All of the stuff is just very real, and it's an opportunity to help them move through stuff, work on what's going on in the here and now. So it's really cool. So you can just, if somebody, is getting really angry or they get mad at the facilitator or another group member, like, okay, hey, let's slow down. Like, what's going on here? I noticed you gave another client like a look, or you laughed when they said something. What's going on here? Or if they get mad at you, it's another opportunity. So it's really cool. Another factor or thing that's going to happen in group is the peer feedback. Super important. It goes back to, the being able to feel supported, know that like the installation of hope, all of that, you're going to get it because you're going to feel like, okay, like I'm in a group with people. I'm not alone. But encouraging members to give and receive feedback about behaviors, patterns, and impacts. And it's really cool when you're in the deeper setting of the stages, because you'll see like you're going to have more of a role where you're sitting back, because if it's a great group, they're formed really well, they're going to run that on themselves. They're going to start asking questions. They're going to call people out. It's really cool. So having the peer feedback versus always hearing from us is neat. And it just works on the interpersonal effectiveness as well. You can do role plays if something's going on. If they, a client has a certain issue, maybe two people are having a conflict with each other. Practice new behaviors. You can, have them work out the conflict in real time. Maybe they don't have the skills. Maybe they've never, used assertive communication. So being able to um, have that, have them play it out in real time and get feedback from both us and the other group members. Sometimes it's, mindfulness practices is what, everybody needs. Maybe it's been a tense morning on the unit. Everybody's kind of riled up. You could start the group with some breathing exercises, body scans, mindful listening. It helps reduce stress, and improves focus, and brings you back. CBT skills, of course, um, help the group members identify and change their unhelpful thoughts and behaviors. Identifying the cognitive distortions um, helps build the appropriate coping strategies, increases emotional control, and it really allows them to begin starting to challenge their negative thinking. So then once they've completed treatment, they've moved on, this will just become second nature to them and they can start doing it on their own. DBT skills help support emotion regulation, distress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, and mindfulness. So, going over like radical acceptance, wise mind, tip skills, that type of thing. And then motivational interviewing, um, reflective listening, affirmations, exploring ambivalence, and then rolling with resistance. Enhance motivation and resolve ambivalence towards change. So the benefit of this is promoting autonomy, reducing resistance, and supports behavior change in a non-confrontational way.
Okay.
Next slide.
Okay. So as our groups, move through these stages, conflicts and challenges can arise. Um, One common challenge is the resistance, where in group therapy refers to any behavior where it's conscious or unconscious that interferes with the group process. So we see this sometimes, right? Prevents the emotional exploration or avoids the personal change. It is a natural part that we do expect within this therapy process, and this could be deeply rooted in some type of fear. It could also be just not feeling like they could trust the group, not feeling safe. It could be just uncomfortable, some type of shame, and really not trying to let their guard down or put those masks down. Maybe they're just very uncomfortable with being vulnerable. So this can present as silence or withdraw. We can see that it could also be some type of defensiveness as well. And we also see like deflecting with humor. So joking around, maybe they're disruptive, not paying attention, avoiding, trying to walk in and out of the group instead of just staying in the group. Um, we can see this a lot, and they may even test the boundaries. So you might have to